Following this breaking news, James Harden shipped away from Houston. Now will be joining the Brooklyn Nets. This reported by Adrian Wojnarowski and Ramona Shelburne. And now Adrian Wojnarowski joining us here on NFL Live to give you all the details on this. So Woj, lay it out for us. What do we know about how this happened and how we got to this point?
First, guys, I am thrilled to be on this show. You guys know how much I love watching you guys. But
you're the man, Woj.
Listen. This is a massive deal all around. Listen, for the Brooklyn Nets to go out and get James Harden, this was something that Kevin Durant very much wanted. He and Harden started talking about this months ago. And listen, with the uncertainty surrounding Kyrie Irving right now, and I think there's still hope, expectation, he returns and plays for this team. You remember, free agency comes back upon you pretty quick in this league. Kevin Durant's in the second year of a 4-year deal, and getting Harden, that's another reason for Durant to want to stay. But now, if you get Irving back and he's back to playing at a high level, you have a 1-2-3, perhaps unlike we've seen in this league in the modern era, but certainly it comes at a steep price. 4 first-round picks, 4 pick swaps. The picks are unprotected. One of those picks is coming from Cleveland. This is part of a 3-way deal, really a 4-way deal. Karis LeVert goes from the Nets to the Indiana Pacers, and Indiana sends Victor Oladipo to Houston. So a lot of moving parts in this deal.
Yeah, you mentioned some of those moving parts, and the Kyrie piece of this is really interesting. I want to get back to that, but let's talk about this 4-team deal. Give us a little more detail on the second level part of this, other than just James Harden joining the Nets.
Well, I think this was a deal really that came together in the last couple days, and Philadelphia was very much in pursuit of James Harden. Obviously, Daryl Morey, their president, traded for him in Houston, won a great deal with him. But ultimately, this Nets deal, this package, bringing Cleveland into it, got it done. And I think for Houston, you look at them, remember, they gave up a lot of picks in that Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook deal. They get them back and then some, and it gives the Rockets now, their new GM, Rafael Stone, an ability to start a rebuild. Victor Oladipo's in the last year of his contract. They can see how that goes. Do they want to re-sign him? Does he want to be there? But certainly a blockbuster deal by any standard in the NBA, and it is going to be fascinating to see Harden and Kevin Durant reunited in Brooklyn. Obviously, they played in Oklahoma City together. And then Kyrie Irving, likely, potentially, you would expect at some point as part of that mix, too.
Wow. As all this was coming down, Woj, on your Twitter, it was like looking around like, wow, what else is going to be added to this? But just to recap for everybody, we see James Harden go from Houston to the Brooklyn Nets, joining up with Kevin Durant, something that he wanted to do. Thanks so much to Woj for joining us here on NFL Live. Much more coverage on this James Harden blockbuster trade at 6 Eastern on SportsCenter. Keep it locked right here on ESPN. We'll have all the breakdown. Woj, of course, continuing to keep everybody up to date on all of this. We'll be back on NFL Live in...
It doesn't work out. These stars move on. They move forward. Eventually, they get what they want. They tried. The Rockets tried. They asked James Harden to come back. They had a couple of games with him on the court, and it did not work out. The only way that I see this going from here on out, Perk said it, they're headed towards a divorce.
Yeah, and it's not just the sort of situation right now that he said it's not working. Malika, how do you see James' self-awareness overall impacting the situation?
Well, I think that it's playing a part in it. It's hard when you're listening to John Wall, when you're listening to DeMarcus Cousins, hearing them say that this isn't the first time that the disrespect has shown up. This isn't the first time that they're feeling this way. It's hard to want to go out on the court and be focused on performing as a unit when you have one guy saying that this just isn't good enough. Oh, and by the way, that one guy is your franchise player. That's where the question comes up of whether or not James Harden can put himself into a 20,000-foot position and say, hey, looking down on this situation, I see my role in it. I see how I am impacting my teammates. I see the role that I am playing here, and I need to leave so that they can continue. Right now, it looks like James is putting everything out and not turning the mirrors back in on himself.
Perk, where would you rather him go? He's rumored to be going to either Brooklyn or Philadelphia. Where would you rather see him?
Well, to be honest with me, I think the best fit for the Rockets is for James to go to Philly because they're going to probably get back Ben Simmons. And James in Philadelphia, along with how Joel Embiid is playing right now, Danny Green is playing awesome, Steph Curry is playing elite basketball, and coached under Doc Rivers, they will be really dangerous in the Eastern Conference, and it will make it that more competitive to the Milwaukee Bucks, to the Brooklyn Nets. The reason that if I'm James, I wouldn't want to go to the Brooklyn Nets because I don't know what's going on with Kyrie. You go in there to think that you're going to play with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, and then all of a sudden Kyrie Irving, you get in the first round of the playoffs and no one hears from him. He's nowhere to be found. So if I'm James, I'm looking at structure, I'm looking at what's going on, and I'm evaluating both of these ball clubs. And right now, Philly looks like the best ball club for him to go to.
Well, it's funny you should say that, Perk, because we are going to get back to the Rockets later in the show, but I do want to debut our latest Jump Show.
Does James Harden get traded? No. Does he gain 7 pounds sitting at home today? Yes.
Perk.
Whoa! Whoa! Tick, 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 tick. We got 15 minutes. So as much as I would like to give you an exciting answer with 15 minutes, I'm going no, but it looks like it's going to happen soon. Tick, 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 tick.
Zach, you're a spoil sport.
Deferential to John Wall, deferential to Christian Wood, trying to get other people involved. He's averaging like 10 assists a game. That's all great. When has James Harden been deferential to anyone? This is not the James Harden we've come to know, we've come to enjoy watching, or maybe not enjoy watching, depending on your taste. This is just not the same player. It's very obvious. All you need to do is watch the games. Something is not right. I suspect it's a whole confluence of things, starting with his care factor and his desire to be a part of the Rockets.
Absolutely. And another thing is, when is the last time James Harden played in the actual system, right? When you look at D'Antoni's style of play up and down, allowing James Harden to get 10 dribbles, a possession to get to the basket or put a guy on the island and isolate him. Well, now you have Coach Stephen Silas actually running sets. He's running sets with his player movement, ball movement, may go to the post from time to time. And James Harden is not used to that. He's already disgruntled and don't want to be there. And one thing that you can always look at and see what's going on and see the temperature is body language. And his body language says it all. It says, I do not want to be here. I saw James Harden at least 6 or 7 times yesterday standing in the corner and not involved in the offense. He don't want to be there. We all know this, and now he's showing that. And that's what's affecting this game. If your mind is not right going into a basketball game, I don't care what's on your mind in the outside world, you're not going to perform at the highest level.
And look, Zach, there's been differing opinions on whether James acting this way and now playing this way is going to affect his trade value. I want to say again, ESPN reporting that Brooklyn and Philadelphia are the lead candidates for a trade. Could happen today, could happen by the end of the day, could happen in the next 5 minutes. Concentration certainly on Philadelphia. My opinion has been that James Harden is James Harden. Everybody, especially Daryl Morey in Philadelphia, knows what you can get when James Harden is engaged. Do you see how he's been playing affecting his trade value at all, or everyone knows this is just very particular to the situation in Houston?
I do, but not with the Sixers. I mean, Simmons for Harden has been the most logical endgame since before all this started, and Brooklyn can offer whatever Brooklyn can offer if they indeed make an offer. I look at the other teams that have been on the fringes of this, your Denvers, Bostons, Portlands, Torontos, et cetera, and a lot of them are looking at this and saying, look, we know if and when somebody trades for James Harden, he's going to be James Harden again. He's going to perk up. He's going to score. He's going to draw contact. He's going to start playing harder. He's going to be who he's always been. But what this does tell us is, what happens if things go sideways a little bit with us after we get James Harden? What happens if we struggle? What happens if somebody gets hurt? What happens if he decides he doesn't like the coach? Well, what does that look like? Is he going to do this to us? Is he going to do the same thing he's doing at Houston because things don't go exactly the way he wants? And if you're just on the fringes, if you've just dipped your toe in, that might be enough to just say, you know what? We really like Jaylen Brown. He's really good. We really like Michael Porter Jr. He's really good. We don't really need to get involved in this. And I'm not saying that that's happened in those places, but I know that a lot of teams that have been on the fringes are watching very closely and debating that very discussion.
All right. Well, we will begin monitoring, watching. We got 8 more minutes.